Thursday, we are almost there. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We begin with some news out of Venezuela, where at least 188 people are confirmed dead and nearly 1,000 injured. That's what we have confirmed right now, after two massive earthquakes rocked that country. Officials warn that that number is expected to rise significantly as rescue crews kind of parse through the debris and people still buried beneath the buildings. President Trump saying the U.S. is ready, willing, and able to help. Plus, looks like Denmark got the right idea. The country is moving to ban the Islamic call for prayer from being broadcast over loudspeakers. All right, Denmark. It's the immigration minister warning parts of Denmark risk sounding like a suburb of Islamabad. Yeah. Never thought I'd say this, but maybe actually Europe might be ahead of us on this one. And Big Tish James is big mad at New York Mayor Mamdani, and New York Attorney General is warning Democrats they better start respecting voters. Literally, she's never said that before. But this was after Mamdani-backed progressive candidates scored another round of major primary wins over the establishment. The social justice monster is eating itself alive. I am so here for it. We're going to have Texas Congressman Brandon Gill on that later. But first, get them out, all of them. Temporary protected status means temporary. And it's been 15 years. Let's do this. Hey, perhaps the biggest immigration win of the year for Trump, actually. The Supreme Court today ruling that Trump can, in fact, remove Haitians under, or other people actually, as well, under the programs like temporary protected status. Bye-bye. Just go. Get them out. Turns out that, and the Supreme Court can read, actually, which is, I know, right? The left didn't realize that. But I know this is driving liberal meltdowns everywhere, but turns out temporary actually means temporary. The literal text of this rule that was allowing these Haitians to stay in mass in this country. This is from the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services website under the Immigration Act of 1990. And it's been labeled this way since 2010, when this specific program came into existence. You know about this? This is great. Well, it's not great for Haitians, but the irony is great. In 2010, remember that the 7.0 earthquake that hit Haiti killed like 300,000 people, basically knocked down every building in the country. Didn't hold a candle, by the way, to the Fukushima, Japan earthquake of 9.0 that they recovered from relatively quickly, even with a nuclear meltdown. But hey, building codes, right? Anyway, so Haiti, with no building codes, was basically destroyed. Hillary Clinton funneled, I don't know, a casual few $1 billion of State Department funds into that area when she was Secretary of State, some of which went to her brother's company. Some went to her friends, and they were given the first outside mining contracts ever. And as a result, the housing they promised to rebuild, weird that a program that Hillary initiated didn't actually do what it said. They never built anything in Haiti almost. So Haiti stayed a complete dump after that. So Obama then gave them temporary protected status to come here in America under that law. Now, this is an executive action. This has become one of the longest standing TPS programs since the law's inception. Then in November of 2017, in Trump's first term, he then terminated it and said, look, guys, you've been here too long. You got to go back. And the libs spazzed. One of them sued Trump and saying, oh, you can't do that to us. We deserve to be here. Okay, fine, whatever. I disagree. But anyway, 3 months later, in 2018, as you can see in January, there was that infamous leak from a closed-door meeting where Trump allegedly called Haiti, among other countries, a bunch of S-holes, which, let's be honest, they are. But they then left, the left just like came rushing in to say how beautiful Haiti is.
It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but it's, you know, a country can be poor economically and rich in culture and rich in the strength of the people and rich in so many different ways. And Haiti is in that way among the richest of countries I've ever been to.
Haiti is a beautiful country with beautiful people.
Well, I just visited the country and I saw the beauty of the place and the amazing resiliency of the people there and the culture, and I was really taken with it.
Slow down there, Zoolander, which is funny because in the lawsuits, while all these stars like Zoolander over there are going out and saying this is great, those same people who are trying to keep the Haitians here in like Miat versus Trump, literally saying widespread gang violence, collapsed government and rule of law. You got humanitarian crisis, lack of medical care, mass displacement, and ongoing insecurity preventing nationals from returning in safety. Stars saying one thing, lawsuits saying another thing. So everybody with an IQ above, like, I don't know, 40 was like, hey, which one is it? Sounds like a dump. This is why I don't take anything liberals say seriously. So for the last 9 years, this legal battle has been like going on and on and on. They were allowed to stay here while that played out. So it finally gets to the Supreme Court today, who reached the conclusion that because one president put it in under executive action, because that's the law, the next president can also terminate it. And again, the whole temporary thing. It's been 15 years. That's not temporary, which is funny because another part of the amicus brief, which an amicus brief is a supporting document that someone else files on behalf of one side in a case. So on behalf of the Haitians that were challenging this is great. TPS holders live with approximately 390,000 U.S. citizen children for Haitians alone. The most recent data shows that approximately 270,000 U.S. citizens were living with Haitian TPS holders. Signed, a bunch of libs like Letitia James and other blue state officials. So I guess my only question is, if you, as a Haitian, were here by our good graces on a temporary protected status, why would you make permanent decisions? Or why would you not at least apply during that 15 years for some sort of permanent status, especially if you have kids, by the way? You see that the Supreme Court did not fall for the emotional arguments here, which is great because it has nothing to do with the law. But further, the basis for the claim that deporting Haitians would somehow like upend the economy, which that's what the left is claiming here. It's so ridiculous because our immigration laws should not and are not based on poorly made decisions of people who are temporary guests here. Because I don't care what the Haitian side is. I care what the law says. The people, the same people who said the same thing about Somalis, too. Remember when Brandon Gill, who's going to be on in just a bit, Gill asked a state senator from one of the highest concentration areas of Somalians, he asked her, how do they help the economy?
Senator Antonio, thank you for being here. Has Somali immigration been good for Ohio?
You know, that's really outside of my purview of
You're a state senator. Would you like to see more immigration from Somalia?
As far as I'm processing your question.
Yeah, she never actually answered that because it's the same thing with Haitians by and large. They ain't working at SpaceX, folks. Let's be honest. Yes, they work because that's how you earn money. And a key foresight, thank God, at 1990 they figured this one out. But they said, you're not eligible for most of American public benefits if you're here on a temporary protected status. But I have the sneaking suspicion that capitalism will somehow find a way to fill those vacated jobs, which are mostly entry level. The left pitched like this mass influx as Haitian as growth, too. I love this one. They did this in the same state, in Ohio. But you have to scroll all the way down in that same article to find out their meaning of growth. Basically, it means that spiking house prices and goods and things like that because there was a shortage. Because the one benefit that a lot of these TPS people were eligible for was housing. And what it did was they got those benefits and it priced regular lifelong residents of some of these towns out of the market. But this is great. The Supreme Court went further from just siding with the Trump administration on this one. They found that the courts have no authority to review this termination, not now, not then, not ever. Basically saying this case is over and can never be challenged again. The only question left, how fast can we get these people out of here? Newsmax legal analyst Jay Town and Judicial Watch attorney and author of Defiant, Christina Bobb. All right, Christina, how fast legally do you think we can start moving these people out of there? Because as of the revocation of this, all these people technically are illegal right now.
Yeah, so I would say that I would imagine that the Trump administration would start processing very quickly because they have a Supreme Court opinion that says the lower court can't pause them, can't stop them from carrying out their orders. So I expect there will probably be more legal battles that come through all of this, But I expect the Trump administration to really, turn the burners on and start working on this immediately.
Yeah, but Jay, one of the big arguments from the left is like, well, some of these people have kids here and families, and then your kids will have to go into the state care. It's like, I really, like, and not to sound crass, but that's not my problem. My problem is that these people planned poorly.
Yeah, I mean, the kids can go with them. We'll pay for that too. You mentioned it, you alluded to it anyway in your read, Carl, that the Supreme Court said there is no judicial review of the secretary, in this case of DHS, with respect to the designation or termination or extension of designation of a foreign state with temporary protected status. So this applies in this particular case to Haiti. I get it, and Syrians. But it also, I mean, it can apply across the board. El Salvador, Venezuela, any of the Central American countries, Somalia. I mean, this is the rule of law now. This is the law of the land, and I think we're going to start seeing not trains, but just, I mean, boats full of people leaving this country.
Yeah, and they better leave on their own, otherwise it's going to be worse for them. Christina, DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, who we were with yesterday, just today ripped Rosa DeLauro for ignoring the 450,000 who went missing under Biden. Roll it.
3,900 children were separated from their families.
450,000 kids were lost during the Biden administration. You didn't say a word about it.
Mr. Secretary, do not interrupt.
Don't you point your finger at me. Don't
I
be a
will
hypocrite.
point my finger
Don't you be
at
a hypocrite
you.
then. Then you be as you should be as upset about the 450,000 kids that were lost. You didn't say a word about it. For 4 years, you never said a word.
Mr. Secretary.
Could you put him in his place for
Don't yell at me.
You should
I'm
be
the
put in
good
your
one.
place.
Okay, so the purple people eater lost her mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a point that doesn't make sense. Can you please calm down and let me finish? I mean, that's basically what she argued. So, I mean, that's what was going on. She wanted to make a point that wasn't factual, that wasn't honest, that it didn't properly portray the facts as they were. And he was calling her out on it and calling out her hypocrisy that there have been close to 500,000 kids likely trafficked, unconfirmed, but likely trafficked into horrible conditions, horrible situations across America. And she wants to ignore it because that's not what her talking point said. So, yeah, I mean, it's clear as day what they're up to now.
Yeah, exactly. One immigration lawyer, though, says that people will die because Haitians are being sent home. Watch this.
I hope we stop talking about it as the Trump administration won or someone won, because right now America lost. There are going to be a lot of jobs that are open and a lot of people in home health care industries that are not going to receive any service because their providers are going to be removed from the United States. There are a lot of people who are going to die and suffer because of the account of this. So I wish this court was more of a court of equity than they say they were a court of policy right now.
I am sorry. Courts are not for equity, Jay, ever.
It's getting more and more difficult to not only read these opinions from these Obama and Biden appointed judges, but to then hear folks come out and parrot their talking points. I mean, Christina's right. Excuse me while I finish my point that doesn't make any sense. And that's exactly what they're doing across. It's in writing. It's on the airwaves. It's on X. And it's hard to. It really is hard to beat it all back if you're rational, like I think the three of us are. But yet you have to, because this is how we win.
Real quick, Christina, I got 30 seconds for you. A judge blocked the implementation of President Trump's executive order that would block the post office from delivering ballots in places where they don't verify identification.
I'm sure that this is going to go up on emergency appeal. I expect it to be handled before the election, and I hope the Supreme Court decides in President Trump's favor, because these judges are making political decisions that they should be staying out of.
Yeah, well, that is that. Christina, Jay, we appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, folks, tonight is a celebration for the late Newsmax contributor Barney Frank. Let's listen to former President Bill Clinton for a second.
You could know, except those of you who were there when he was trying to patch up his wounded president and go on. But for all of us, I think the most important thing we could remember is that he was a living embodiment of why inclusion is better than division. He embodied that. Can you imagine anybody saying, gosh, I wish that guy hadn't been a congressman because he's gay? You can't imagine it.
Also the author, co-author of the Dodd-Frank bill. All right, coming up, pressure is mounting on Capitol Hill, and President Trump is forcing Senate Republicans to actually act like Republicans. I'm going to give you my take in just a bit. But first, another prediction, another miss. The U.S. economy just outperformed expectations again, catching the so-called experts by surprise. We're going to break down the numbers next.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Stop. Check this out. Our most advanced performance frame, Talon, is out. It's a bestseller. We just got it back in stock, and I want to show you a little bit about it. This frame is an 8-base wrap, so it's going to sit close to your face, give you wide peripheral vision, stay on tight, but it also has a squared off lens for a versatile everyday look. And then you have comfort fit adjustable rubber nose pads for secure fit as well. These come with our signature lost and broken protection, and you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Check them out at shadyrays.com.
The first day back from maternity leave is so weird. We get it. Find a caregiver who does too. When it's not you, it's care.com.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drupinski. I've been looking at the aging process for a long time. Fatty 15 actually slows it down. Fatty 15 comes out of Navy dolphin research. Without the C15, our cells become fragile and age and oxidize. This pushes that back. That's why I take Fatty 15.
I know you're going to find this shocking, but the experts got it wrong again. The latest GDP report shows the economy expanded at 2.1%, beating expectations and adding signs the U.S. economy remains resilient. The catch, though, inflation also ticked a bit higher, mostly because of gas prices. But the White House insists that diplomatic progress with Iran will continue to drive energy prices and inflation lower. Business and market analyst Seth Denson and Heritage Foundation senior economist Peter St. Onge. All right, Seth, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Gold also came down 30% in like a couple weeks. Like, that is a crazy number, and it's an indication of our economy.
It is, Carl. So there's a couple of things to keep in mind here. Again, we oftentimes will look at gold and think there's one singular thing making that happen, and it's not. So when inflation goes up, the value of the dollar goes down, right? The buying power is less. So investors flock to gold oftentimes to make sure it's stable. Well, you don't earn interest. Well, today, with the GDP growth numbers where they are, the Fed is indicating that maybe to get inflation under control, they'll raise interest rates. Therefore, investors are saying, well, wait a minute. If they're going to get this back under control, maybe there's better opportunity in other parts of the market. And the value of the dollar just went up. And when the value of the dollar goes up, guess what? Gold goes down.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing here that I'm it's crazy, though, Peter, that the Trump is calling on the DOJ to investigate large oil companies over elevated gas prices. Now, normally, I would say let the capitalist system be the capitalist system. However, the data actually supports this because the highest oil prices occurred during 2011 to 2014 when crude averaged around $100 to $112 a barrel under Obama. Now, the gas price was only like $3.50 a gallon when it was $112. But when crude oil got up to like $100 per barrel in May of this year, the national gas average was like $4.50 a gallon. So yeah, maybe there's some problems there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of moving parts in the oil supply chain. You've got lags on all these things, and it's always tempting for a politician to point at, any kind of mismatch and, scapegoat that for whatever's going on. Honestly, I think Trump, he enjoys keeping things interesting.
Yeah, he does.
As mentioned a moment ago, oil has been the entire story on inflation at the moment. Before the war, we were actually below 1% on annualized inflation. I think everybody, including Trump, knows that we're going to get back to that soon now that the war is winding down.
Yeah, well, it gets below 2%. They're talking about lowering interest rates again, which would be a massive risk on for things like crypto. Senator Moreno, though, absolutely, Seth, wrecked some lib on the increased affordability under Trump and, versus Biden. Just watch this exchange.
What does a dozen eggs cost today?
The last time I bought them where I lived, it cost about $7.
Oh my God, you need to move. You would fail the prices right dramatically. The average price of a dozen eggs is $2.19. We are going to send the police after the grocery store where you do business. Do you know what it was under Biden? Obviously you don't because you didn't know now. It was $2.65. Is $2.19 less than $2.65?
It is.
Okay, perfect. So then prices for eggs have gone down from Biden to Trump.
Seth, he did this for like 4 minutes with like 20 different things. And she was the Democrats' expert witness that prices are going up.
Yeah, it's painful. No. And what Peter was just mentioning just a minute ago, right? When you think about the Biden administration and the rate of inflation, and I talked a minute ago about what the value of the dollar did. The buying power of the dollar under the Biden administration dropped 80 to 80 cents on the dollar. Yeah. Meaning if I had a dollar, it was worth 80 cents by the time he got out of office. The Trump administration brought prices down by stabilizing things and what we just talked about, the increasing value of the dollar. That takes a little bit of time, but we're going to start to see that matriculate throughout the economy very quickly.
Real quick, Peter, got about 30 seconds. SpaceX came down 30%, but this is kind of normal after an initial IPO shock.
That's completely normal. You get all the hot money going in the beginning, and then it kind of finds its feet. Ultimately, SpaceX, you're gambling on every single science fiction technology in the world right now wrapped up into one. I think it's going to do some pretty exciting things.
Yeah, I mean, he's still landing rockets and reusing them, so I think that's pretty cool. Seth, Peter, we appreciate it very much. Yeah, exactly. Who does that? All right, coming up, there's a huge rift in the Democrat Party right now between Socialist and their establishment, which is already super far left. But why is Hakeem Jeffries refusing to acknowledge this? Oh, that's right. He might lose his job. Next.
Newsmax.
Shoots it straight. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide. Real news for real people.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis? With fewer symptoms from moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, where would you go? Imagine being a million miles away. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. And for adults with active psoriatic arthritis, Tremfya goes beyond the skin. Less joint pain, stiffness, and swelling is possible. And Tremfya is the first and only treatment of its kind proven to help stop further joint damage. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections, or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
The human brain is truly incredible. It's a complex network of 100 billion neurons that create cognitive functions surpassing that of supercomputers. Our brain controls our thoughts, our emotions, and our movements. Prevagen contains apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish, and is designed specifically for the brain to help keep it amazing, so that we can continue to live our best life. Prevagen, for your brain.
Average price for a gallon of gas? $4.43.
That's extortion.
Price for Paramount Plus? 99 cents per month for the first 2 months.
That sounds like a good deal.
You ready?
I love it.
Lots of other prices may be crazy, but ours is not.
It's my home.
The Paramount Plus Summer Sale, just 99 cents per month for the first 2 months.
In America, we believe in hard work, family, and taking care of our own. That's why Safe Step walk-in tubs are proudly designed, built, and assembled in the USA, in the heart of Tennessee, by more than 300 hardworking Americans.
My name is Michelle Johnson. Lamination is where we put the fiberglass, resin, and gel coat on the actual product.
Skilled craft professionals building every tub with precision, care, and pride. With a low step-in design, built-in safety features, and soothing therapeutic jets, Safe Step helps you stay comfortable, confident, and in control.
My name's Angela Peters. We make sure everything is as perfect as it can be.
When you choose Safe Step, you're not just investing in your home, you're supporting American families and American jobs. Call now for your free in-home consultation and ask about our special offer. Safe Step walk-in tubs, made in Tennessee, made for you.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire with more MLB games than anyone.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
How old are you?
11.
Well, the results are in. New York wants Democrats, socialist, basically communist, in charge. And establishment Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries probably out.
You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next.
Bunch of commies shouting to Jeffries that you're next. He was asked about this on CNBC and about how he felt about this divide in the Democrat Party. Listen to this.
They were saying you're next about Hakeem Jeffries. You're next. You're next. You're next. You can't think this is a positive development in New York politics, can you? And they'll just, Dems will be Dems or something like that.
This is not a Dems will be Dems situation. Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America right now. Are you kidding me?
Oh, there it is. Of course, when in doubt, just Donald Trump. It's Orange Man bad. Good luck, New York. You're probably going to need it. Texas Congressman Brendan Gill, sir, you have not held back at all with pointing out how crazy the left has been, sir. Even recently, you've been highlighting it.
Yeah, listen, the Democrat Party that we're up against right now simply isn't your grandfather's Democrat Party. This is not the party of FDR anymore. This is the party of Zoran Mamdani and AOC. This is the party that runs on a platform of hating America, hating the institutions that built this country, and having disdain for its own people and its principles. That's the party that we're up against. And, I think whenever you zoom out a little bit and whenever that Democrat Party tries to run on a national stage in areas that are not New York or liberal California, they're going to lose and we're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately the goal. Like, I almost want to donate to these campaigns for that reason. But also, sir, Jeffries reminded MS Now viewers, both of them, that other Democrats are not the enemy, but Donald Trump is. Watch this real quick.
I think for us as House Democrats, we're just hopeful that everybody recognizes once we get through this primary season that the enemy is Donald Trump and MAGA extremism in terms of trying to bring about the type of America that we all desire.
Sir, it just seems like it's Donald Trump bad, socialism good. Neither of those are winning.
No, neither one of those are winning messages. What the American people want is sanity in their government. They want a government that's actually looking out for them, not looking out for foreigners, who cares about the quality of life for the American people, not about radical woke ideas that they want to shove down the American people's throat. And I think that the contrast between the two parties, especially heading into the midterms this fall, is incredibly clear. You've got one party who's talking openly, running candidates in New York who are talking about eradicating Western civilization, whereas you've got the Republican Party who, under Donald Trump's leadership, who are working to make life better for the American people, to keep our borders secure, to deport illegal aliens, to make our communities safer, to bring down the cost of living. And that's what the American people are looking for.
Yeah, no, 100%. But, what's interesting is when you ask people on the left about this, like CNBC asked Delaware Senator Lisa Blunt and asked, hey, where has socialism been beneficial? Roll this.
So, to me, it's a win-win.
Where has socialism ever worked, Senator?
Is that another question, or is that for the next interview?
That's definitely for you. I just want to know one place where socialism has been beneficial.
Well, when you have me come back on, we can talk about all the races across the country.
Ready. Okay.
They know it doesn't work, and yet they're pushing it.
And yet they're pushing it because their goal is not to look out for the American people. It's to totally transform the American way of life and totally upend America's social system. And they believe that socialistic policies are the way to do that. That is the sort of the arm into private life of every American person. And that is the way that government, Democrats who they believe they'll be in control, can have control over the American people. And that's something that most Americans time and time again, cycle after cycle, have rejected.
Yeah, well, and the world has honestly rejected because it fails every time.
Right.
Congressman Brandon Gill, pleasure to have you on, sir.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right, these people shouldn't have a place in Congress. These Democrat socialists are coming here and showing us just how much they actually hate this country.
So are we ready to free Palestine? Are we ready to abolish ICE? Are we ready to win Medicare for all, housing for all, and unions for all?
Bob Brooks, host of American Agenda, and Ike Wingate, host of Ike Wingate America. All right, Ike, could one of these people, do you think, point to Palestine on a map if they had to?
This is exactly what I was thinking when I was watching this, is why are we talking about Palestine? Why is this all we care about? Literally,
in Brooklyn.
Yeah, everything that they are sort of laying out, I'm like, this really could be like the playbook for Al-Qaeda, honestly. Like this is like the election like for Al-Qaeda. Like this is what they would be presenting, right?
Absolutely. Look, people got to know that this Chevalier woman who won is probably going to be the next congressman or congresswoman here in New York. She was part of that group.
Just assume her gender.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A congressperson. She was part of that group, co-founded, that went up to Columbia University, trashed it. They posted on their Instagram page, they had to delete it here before everyone found out, "We are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization." This is not about, oh, we're socialists and we want these programs to be bigger and we think we can do a better job with distributing money. This is about destroying Western civilizations. That's why Mamdani, this woman, they got to go back and delete all their past tweets because they've already said what they plan to do. Now they got to delete that before they run for office, and that's the real goal.
Like, this is the problem. It's like this may work in like the commie corridors, they call it, in Brooklyn, or one of these Upper East Side foo-foo-y areas. But like when you go to Tennessee or Arkansas, where you're from, the hills are going to sing country roads, and they're going to run you out of there with high-capacity magazines.
Yeah, you will also hear the theme of Deliverance playing if you get outside of where you should be. The crazy thing is this would never work outside of this commie corridor. The thing that I find really interesting is on their social media, the Democratic Socialists of America, it says, "Socialists get it done." No, they don't. Not without somebody else's money. Right. I mean, they're so inept, so out of touch. But to your point, it would never work in the South.
Well, what they do, though, spread like locusts here. And that's what I'm worried about throughout the rest of the country. I'm telling you, young Democrats, that is their threat.
It's these fatty, like, oh, I'm a rebel sort of thing, like it's like the Vietnam War protesting. It's not going to go anywhere. These people are morons, and they don't have jobs anyway. So my senator, actually, Chris Murphy, tweeted this out. Who is the Democratic Party if not for voters? Democratic voters choose candidates, not party leaders, and party leaders need to listen to what the voters are telling us. And right now, they're demanding our party be bolder. I'm like, bolder? I don't know. I mean, go ahead. You're not going to win.
How much bolder can you be when you have people saying, we want to destroy Western civilization? They better wake up. I'm telling you guys, young Democrats, this is the kind of crap they believe. All college educated, got woked up at school, and this is what they're pumping out. I'm telling you, this is the future of the Democrat Party. That guy right there.
But the younger people, like those kids at North Carolina, remember they raised the flag and they like guarded. Was it North Carolina?
Well, young conservatives.
Yeah, you got the Zin Bros uniting.
And they're still out there for sure, especially in the South. But these people they're paying for their own indoctrination, and then they're coming out there with this toxic empathy saying, oh, I have white guilt, and so therefore this is the right thing to do. But it won't won't work. There's no way that anybody who's ever actually had a real job in their life would ever vote this way.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. If you eliminated, like, college's tax-free status, you know how many people would not go to college because it'd be more expensive? And then we would just, they'd have jobs and they'd see a paycheck.
And they'd be a lot wealthier, too.
Yeah.
They'd go out, start earning, and have to make a living.
You
learn
could be
how
a
to
barista
work.
without $200,000.
You're not going to major in basket weaving.
Yeah, that college debt wouldn't be there, and they could put it right back into the economy. I mean, I think we've just figured it out right here. Is you got to get away from this the educational industrial complex, and we're good.
I'm telling you, man, Mamdani, we came here to remake this state in the image of our people. I'm telling you, these people want to destroy the United States
I don't want to be
as
those
you
people.
know it. So that's what he wants, and that's what he's putting into Congress.
And he's never had a real job in his life, ever.
Yeah. It's like
He's got rich parents.
It's like the Portland mayor who still lives with her parents.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. Maybe it's Seattle. Yeah, well, they're all the same.
Owning a house is white privilege.
Cool. All right. I got two. All right, Bob, Ike, appreciate you joining us. All right, coming up. I built one, so it's fine. A U.S. Senate candidate proposing a 5-year mental health check on all AR-15 and what he calls assault-style rifles. But we do checks on the mental capacity of people who vote in our elections. Culture Clash next.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
IRAs and 401ks were designed to account for a 2% rate of inflation. The idea was you could apply a 4% withdrawal rate, and it would last. Inflation is at 3.8%. But when you account healthcare, insurance, food, and energy, the real rate is 8%. Gold's role isn't to make you rich. It's to help you survive what's coming. Call Patriot Gold Group at 1-800-778-4156. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide. The only firm nationwide where you, the client, work directly with an owner. Home of the America 250 no fee for life IRA. Call 1-800-778-4156 and see how easy it is to protect your IRA with physical gold and silver. Call now, 1-800-778-4156.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
Healthy aging support starts here with the innovative nitric oxide science pioneered by Human, supporting your body from the heart out through circulation, blood flow, blood pressure, and energy. Results you can feel, science you can trust. Save up to 40% off on Amazon Prime Day.
Sensitive mouth and gums? Ever heard of Closest mouthwash? Your dentist and hygienist have. They know Closest is ultra gentle for sensitive mouths with non-burning mouthwashes that freshen breath, improve gum health, and strengthen teeth. Closest, the gentle mouthwash for sensitive mouths.
Every day across the globe, big business agendas go unseen by investors. Things that go against your core values and beliefs. It's time to know your investments. Abortion, alternative lifestyles, gender and identity confusion. If you believe in protecting marriage and life, children, innocence, guarding masculinity, restoring families, defending religious liberty, invest with your values. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Stop trusting foreign antivirus to defeat foreign-made ransomware. American-made PCmatic protects your family, your home, and your workplace. Go to PCmatic.com. Built by Americans to protect America.
Another attempt to take away our Second Amendment rights. I know it's not 2A Tuesday, but this is a pretty important one. An independent Senate candidate in Nebraska, Dan Osborne, says that there should be a mandatory 5-year mental health check for owners or people wanting to purchase AR-15s or assault rifles, as he calls them. It's not a real thing. Okay, look. Let's roll the dice here. I don't have to give anything because this is the Second Amendment and it's my right, but I will commit to this if you commit to mental health checks on everyone who votes in every election, which would include verifying who they actually are, by the way, IDs and stuff. Because you already can't buy a gun if you're mentally ill. Why should you be able to vote? They're equally protected. Newsmax contributor Kay Smythe and political strategist Luke Ball. Well, Luke, what do you think?
I think we should impose mental health checks on everyone trying to run for Congress, run for Senate, and run for higher office in this country, especially when they propose ridiculous legislation like that. They could care less about the Second Amendment. They could care less about law-abiding gun owners. This guy is saying this stuff because he knows there's a small pocket that's going to agree with him and vote for him, and he's going to build up a pathetic little following that he can hold on to after he drastically loses this election out in Nebraska.
Yeah, but Kay, speaking of mental health, actually for elected officials, this woman, of course it's San Francisco, she's a supervisor, Jackie Fielder. Just watch.
I left the work that I love so much, not because I wanted to, but because my mental health demanded it. And I say that with no shame. At the end of the day, I'm a human being and a renter, a working class candidate that is now a supervisor.
So she's an elected official that's getting paid, and she took 3 months off, okay, because she needed to address her mental. Maybe she shouldn't be running the city.
Absolutely nailed it. She should not be running the city. And I read the Daily Caller's coverage of this, and I've got to agree with the team over there. Firstly, either this woman had, what was like an actual legit real mental health issue and therefore shouldn't be holding any kind of public office and certainly shouldn't be getting like 3 months paid leave, leaving the position,
Right.
completely abandoned, or she just took a 3-month vacation and got paid for it. And
Yeah.
there's no other two things that it could be. And so she has to cop to one of them, but sitting there going like, I'm a renter, I'm working class. No, you're not, love. You're not working. So how can you be working class?
That's actually a great point. Luke, here's another one. Speaking of people who don't really work, is the state of Oregon. Their university out there is closing multiple dorms due to, and I know this is going to come as a shock to nobody, $65 million budget deficit because of a sudden 10% drop in on-campus demand driven heavily by people not wanting to go from other states.
I'm not surprised. And honestly, we have seen liberal institutions in liberal states shutter dorms, not just for bad policies because people are fleeing the state, but also for ridiculous policies like housing men and women's dorms.
Yeah.
I think we had a culture clash like a couple of months ago where they were having to shut down dorms because there were rapes happening in the dorms on college campuses.
Yeah.
And yet they'll continue to shutter dorms and shut that stuff down while the tuition rates rise, while all of the crime is elevated, and they will fail to see that it is a direct result of their own policies instead of just admitting that they were wrong.
Also, like paying gender studies professors $400,000 a year, not really a great economic model. Okay, like I don't keep up with sports ball that much, but this is pretty crazy to me. Look at this. The WNBA put out their 30-year anniversary poster and left out the one person that Americans can name in the WNBA. And she also got choke slammed last night, too. And they didn't call a foul, but they did end up suspending the person who, look at this. And they didn't call a foul on the field. I'm like, what is the phrase they used for, all this time with BLM? Oh, I can't breathe.
Yeah, they suspended that woman who's doing that foul. Like, it's just so brutal because I'm like, I'm not like a big like sports ball person, but I did see this. It came up on my feed. That player doing that to her got suspended apparently for like 1 game. That's it, for doing something like that. Whoever didn't call the foul, whoever decision that was, like, you failed, you did a bad job. And I think, I don't know, when I think of the WNBA, you know, I know I'm a woman and I'm supposed to like support other women and like all that kind of stuff, but I just find the whole thing kind of cringe.
Yes.
And I think making the decision to keep Caitlin Clark off the poster, just another cringe decision by a bunch of people who are trying to get, like, I don't know, women's sports.
They're subsidized by the NBA too. Okay, Luke, we got to leave it right there. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, President Trump goes to Capitol Hill and wrecks rhinos. Back in a sec.
There's no way a mouthwash can prevent bad breath for 12 hours.
You're right, Bill. Mouthwash can't, but this is dentist-developed Smart Mouth Activated Mouthwash.
Activated?
Yeah, if your mouthwash isn't activated, it's not Smart Mouth. See, this plus this activate for 12 hours of bad breath prevention, guaranteed. Try it. You won't have bad breath in the morning. Good night, Bill.
Get dentist-developed Smart Mouth today. It's the smarter mouthwash, available at these fine retailers.
There's a reason the wealthy don't keep all their money in one place. We work hard our entire lives to build wealth for retirement. If your retirement dropped 30% tomorrow, would you be ready? Or would you just have to wait and hope it comes back? The last thing any of us wants is to watch our retirement accounts shrink every time Wall Street panics, the dollar drops, or global uncertainty rises. That's why so many successful Americans turn to gold to help protect their retirement. And Preserve Gold is the only precious metals company I trust and recommend. Let me be frank, gold is not for everybody. And I do not give financial advice, but I do urge you to get my free wealth protection guide from Preserve Gold and learn about a special offer to receive up to $20,000 in free gold and silver. Education is power.
Text Newsmax to 50505.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Use daily dermatologist recommended Dermend and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle.
Here's Chris Cunahan with the Leaf Filter Gutter Report.
From blizzards to downpours to windstorms or heat waves, no matter where you live, Leaf Filter keeps your gutters clog-free year-round. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drupinski. I've been a physician for 4 decades. I've been looking at the aging process for a long time, and Fatty 15 is one product that actually slows it down. Fatty 15 comes out of Navy dolphin research. A brilliant veterinarian realized that dolphins get disease much like humans. She looked at what predisposed to those problems, isolated the molecule, gave it to the animals. They didn't get the problem. Without the C15, our cells become fragile and age and oxidize. This pushes that back. Cell health equals physical health. That's why I take Fatty 15.
Stop, check this out. Our most advanced performance frame, Talon, is out. It's a bestseller. We just got it back in stock, and I want to show you a little bit about it. These come with our signature lost and broken protection, and you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Check them out at shadyrays.com.
From senior to childcare to pets and more, the new care.com makes it easier than ever to find the care you need. And you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at care.com.
President Trump went to the Capitol yesterday and wrecked the Senate. He went in, held court on Republicans on their own turf. Like, he said everything I've wanted to say to them, telling them basically, just guys, get your act together. Walks in, boom. Guys, I'm canceling the signing of the stupid bill on housing that you put forward because you people in the Senate are unwilling or unable to pass the Save America Act. Now, John Thune, he's flabbergasted. Like, how dare he? He's like a 9-foot-tall Greta Thunberg.
The president said that he's canceling the signing until Save Act is passed. He said he's not coming today.
Okay, all right. I just heard that.
He won't. So what can you say about that? Is that going to work? How are your members going to react to it?
I just don't have, I guess I would say, at this point, I don't have any observations.
I don't have any observations. Oh, come on, dude. You can't really be surprised that the president is fed up with the games that you're playing. You won't pass a bill that 80% of America wants. This will secure America's election, something that the whole Republican Party ran on. And you won't fire the parliamentarian who you're hiding behind, by the way. Also, J.D. Vance could fire her if you got out of the way, too. You won't do any of that. But when it's time to spy on Americans, hey, let's go ahead and with this FISA extension so we can shove a leash up your rear end and check out everything you're doing. Like, come on, guys. You say, oh, well, the Trump's not on board with that. We're going to go it alone. You know, the heck with Donald Trump is what you say. Because he's not going to sign that. He wants the Save America Act on his desk. Whose side are you on, John Thune? After this meeting, by the way, Trump said, yeah, there's some unity in the party, but there's quite a few people that he's not too fond of.
We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are. But I'll give you that information someday. But for the most part, we have a really well-unified party.
Notice how the good guys are wearing red ties and Thune is wearing a blue tie like a Democrat. We know who he's talking about. It's got to be the rhinos like Thune, Murkowski, Tillis, Mitch McConnell, soon-to-be ex-Senator Bill Cassidy. But by the way, Cassidy apparently lost his mind or like tweaked out. Reportedly went nuts over Iran. Trump's like, dude, just sit down, calling him a lunatic because Cassidy refused to do that. He's just ranting and raving. I mean, who the hell do you think you are? Can you like, let's imagine if a Democrat stood up under Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and started acting like that. It would never happen because they'd get booted out of the House or the Senate or whatever. But the establishment rhinos are just so butthurt because Trump wants to pass policies that, I don't know, Americans want. Apparently the president's tongue lashing, though, it actually kind of worked because hours after that lunch, the Senate rejected a war powers resolution. Senator Rand Paul and Cassidy flipped and actually voted on Trump's side. Trump also reportedly told Thune, it's time to be a leader, get the votes to pass the Save America Act. Tell him to, hey, do the talking filibuster if you need to. Thune's like, well, we don't have the votes. Well, you know, leaders find votes, pal. And that's what we need right now. Why are we still putting up with these senators who clearly don't share our values? I'm not talking about just Republicans, too. Obviously, we have all these crazy libs there as well. But Byron Donalds not holding back his outrage. Listen to this.
Man, the Senate sucks. I'm just going to come out and say it. They suck. This is not hard. 80% of the American people want the Save America Act to pass. Not 80% of Republicans, 80% of the American people. And the only organization that refused to act is the United States Senate.
Yeah, man. What's the point of having the majority if you're going to govern like you're in the minority? And God forbid the GOP loses the Senate. I don't want to hear a word about why. And don't ask me for any more money to help you win again. Before we go, though, few things that I like. Meat, guns, America. Oh, and making fun of libs. Comments for Carl, next.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
My friends, I come to you today on behalf of the Jewish people in Ukraine whose lives have been completely destroyed. Family and loved ones brutally killed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is inside of Ukraine, providing emergency food and supplies to tens of thousands of people.
I am shocked how many elderly people came here. They're afraid, and they realize now that there are more people than boxes.
For just $25, you can help rush an emergency food box to the elderly Jews in Ukraine. Many of them are hungry, frightened, and alone. Today, there's a special opportunity to double your gift's impact. Call now, and your gift's impact will be doubled.
The people of Ukraine are caught in the crosshairs of war. Many of these precious people are Holocaust survivors, elderly Jews who are sick and dying. They have no food, and we must reach them now before it's too late.
The world is in a war again. I am alone. I'm afraid of the bombs. I'm scared. I am old. There is no food.
Just $25 helps rush emergency food to elderly Jews in Ukraine who are in urgent need today. Please call, scan, or go online right now.
I will not starve. Thank you, good people.
We can be the hope to the Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine. Your help is desperately needed now.
Thanks to generous fellowship partners. Call now and your gift's impact will be doubled.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
My earwax buildup was frustrating. Then I tried new Lipo Earwax Cleanser. The revolutionary formula dissolves earwax 5 times faster than the leading brand and helps prevent future buildup. Feel the difference with new Lipo Earwax Cleanser.
Satellite internet that's fast, reliable, and installed by professionals. For work, for play, for every day. Available anywhere you call home. Visit Viasat.com/internet now or call 833-8Viasat to sign up today.
Average price for a gallon of gas? $4.43.
That's extortion.
Price for Paramount Plus? 99 cents per month for the first 2 months.
That sounds like a good deal.
You ready?
I love it.
Lots of other prices may be crazy, but ours is not. It's my home. The Paramount Plus summer sale. Just 99 cents per month for the first 2 months.
All right, another week. Comments to Carl. Let's go. Democrats interested in their own vanity projects. And I put out a whole thing about this. And Brian Mendoza said, LOL, you're a moron and traitor. Well, Brian, there's a reason you're holding the microphone, according to your profile, for people who have the opinion. Because if more people cared about your opinion, they'd be holding the microphone for you. Sit, stay. All right, a person commented on the same segment. False equivalence. Donald Trump is an unnecessary vanity project with taxpayer dollars all over D.C. Obama is not a taxpayer. Obama Center is not a taxpayer funded. Oh, yeah? Now do the White House ballroom, because that's also privately funded. Now do the UFC event that is also privately funded. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump is also he's not taking a paycheck. Obama did. And also the Obama Center, the concrete toilet, cost taxpayers like $300 million in infrastructure upgrades. Anyway, I want to end on a fun one. Okay, so put up another video of another lib dancing all over there. Delilah summed it up pretty good. She said, good Lord, but Democrat women love their ugly polyester pantsuits. That is actually a thing, Rob. Why do they wear so many pantsuits?
It's the Hillary thing, right?
It is.
Didn't Hillary start that trend, the pantsuit?
Yeah, with her. I'm with her. I'm not, but
it's a great look.
Yeah.
It's a great look. Let's get some of those pantsuits around here. Yeah. Carl, good to see you.
Word.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.